Empires didn't appear because humanity suddenly became wiser, more moral, or more enlightened. They appeared when power figured out how to stay in one place without falling apart. That's the part people usually don't like to hear. No empire was founded because its leaders were good people. Empires begin when someone realizes they can decide how others will live, and that no one can stop them. An empire is not just a large country. Size alone means very little. History is full of large states that were never empires, and smaller ones that behaved exactly like one. An empire is something more specific. It's a system where a single center makes decisions for people who are not like it. Different languages, different traditions, different beliefs. And yet, one authority decides what those people owe, how they're governed, and when they're expected to fight. That's why ruling your own people and ruling others are two completely different things. A kingdom organizes itself. An empire reorganizes everyone else. It takes its laws, its habits, its way of thinking, and pushes them outward, sometimes with violence, sometimes with incentives, often with both. The method can change, but the intention stays the same. Control beyond familiarity. So why did humans keep doing this? Why wasn't it enough to rule a city, a valley, a coastline? Why did expansion become so common, so repetitive, so predictable? The honest answer isn't ideology or destiny, it's capacity. At some point, certain societies could simply do more than others. They produced more food. They supported more people. They could afford to keep soldiers standing even when there was no war. That detail matters more than most people realize. The earliest empires didn't rise because they were brilliant. They rose because they were fed. Rivers mattered. Soil mattered. Storage mattered. Surplus wasn't just wealth, it was leverage. Extra food meant time. Time meant organization. Organization meant control. And control, once established, rarely stays still. Empires don't start with conquest, they start with stability. Borders come later. First come granaries, roads, records, and routines. Before the sword moves outward, the system tightens inward. That's how empires last long enough to become dangerous. But creating an empire is the easy part. Keeping one alive is where things get complicated. The larger it grows, the harder it becomes to manage. Messages take longer to travel. Decisions lose accuracy. Costs increase. Armies need more resources. Administrations become heavier. And eventually, the empire reaches a point where standing still becomes a threat. This is the trap every empire falls into. Growth stops being ambition and turns into survival. Expansion isn't about glory anymore. It's about keeping the system from collapsing under its own weight. When expansion slows, rewards shrink. When rewards shrink, loyalty weakens. And when loyalty weakens, force becomes expensive. No empire ever decided it had gone far enough. There was always another region to absorb, another population to tax, another frontier to secure. That wasn't always greed. Often, it was necessity. Empires are built like engines that must keep running or break apart. And despite what movies suggest, empires aren't held together by violence alone. If fear were enough, they would have collapsed much sooner. Real empires survive by mixing fear with routine and promise. Punishment exists, yes, but so does normality. Taxes become expected. Authority becomes familiar. People adapt. Life goes on. Then comes the most effective tool of all: hope. Empires are very good at offering just enough opportunity to keep people invested. Serve the system, and maybe you'll rise within it. Cooperate, and you'll be protected. Resist, and you'll be isolated. Many people didn't just live under empires, they depended on them. But this balance never lasts forever. Fear turns into resentment. Routines break under pressure. Promises stop feeling believable. And when hope disappears, obedience becomes fragile. At that point, the empire may still look strong on the surface, but internally, it's already unraveling. Collapse rarely arrives with a single dramatic moment. More often, it happens quietly. The center stops listening. Reports get softened. Problems get delayed. Bad news doesn't travel upward anymore. Leaders hear what they want to hear, until reality catches up all at once. External enemies often get blamed for the fall of empires, but they're usually just the final push. By the time that push arrives, the structure is already hollow. The real damage happens long before the last battle. And this is why the pattern keeps repeating. Technologies change. Weapons improve. Maps are redrawn. But people don't change nearly as much as they think they do. Power still feels justified. Control still feels necessary. And certainty, especially unchecked certainty, remains dangerous. This series isn't about praising empires,